Patient safety will always be a top priority in any health facility. The World Health Organization defines patient safety as the absence of preventable harm to a patient during the process of healthcare and reduction of risk of unnecessary harm associated with healthcare to an acceptable minimum. It is generally agreed upon the meaning of patient safety is please do no harm. The International Patient Safety Goals detailed in the Joint Commission International Accreditation Standards for Hospitals aim to encourage specific improvements in patient safety by focusing on 6 key problem areas. These include the following. We will focus on the number 3 patient safety goal, the medication safety. The National Coordinating Council for Medication Error and Prevention has approved the following as its working definition of medication error. Any preventable event that may cause or lead to inappropriate medication use or patient harm while the medication is in the control of the healthcare professional, patient, or consumer. While Bates et al. Define it as any error that occurs in the medication use process. The book entitled To Err is Human breaks the silence that has surrounded medical errors and their consequence, but not by pointing fingers at caring healthcare professionals who make honest mistakes. After all, to err is human. Instead, this book sets forth a national agenda with state and local implications for reducing medical errors and improving patient safety through the design of a safer health system. To err is human asserts that the problem is not bad people in healthcare. It is that good people are working in bad systems that need to be made safer. It also explains how patients themselves can influence the quality of care that they receive once they check into the hospital. In the pediatric field, the administration of drugs involves a great responsibility as it directly affects the safety and health of the assisted children. It has been estimated that 7.5 million preventable medication errors could occur in pediatric patients in the United States each year. Other studies estimated that 14 to 31% of pediatric medication errors could result in harm or death. The U.S. Pharmacopeia Medication Errors Reporting Program reported higher rates of medication errors in pediatric patients than in adults. According to some authors, an error in the overall spectrum of the delivery process involving prescribing, dispensing, and administering was observed in 5 to 27% of medication orders for children. Takata et al. Observed 22% of preventable medication errors in the inpatient pediatric setting, which could have been identified earlier or mitigated more effectively. In the Philippines, in 2017, there was a study in prevalence of medication errors in admitted patients at the Philippine General Hospital, which showed that there is a high prevalence of medication errors in the main service at the Philippine General Hospital at a 97.8% prevalence rate, with pediatrics and medicine having the most errors. The most common type of medication errors is prescribing. Another local study entitled Factors That Contribute to Medication Errors in the Philippine Heart Center in 2010, Division of Medical Surgical Care, showed errors are found in prescribing, 90.8%, order processing at 55.7%, followed by dispensing and administering. In NCH from January 2020 to June 2022, 39% of medication errors came from the Department of Pediatrics. The provision of drug therapy by a medical provider or a physician to a patient is a complex process. Errors can occur at any step along the way, from prescribing to the ultimate provision of the drug to the patient. Common causes of medication error in physicians include prescribing errors, dose miscalculations, incorrect drug administrations, failed communication, and lack of patient education. In NCH, from January 2020 to June 2022, patient safety received 15 incidents of medication errors from the Department of Pediatrics. The following were the identified common errors: ordering at 50%, followed by computation at 25%, prescribing 18%, and 6.25% in administering error. The following are the practical preventive strategies of medication errors among doctors at National Children's Hospital. For ordering, medication orders must be complete and in compliance with the hospital's medication order policy. They should include patient identifiers, the medication or the generic name, dosage form, dose strength, therapeutic dose, route of administration, frequency of administration, intended duration of therapy, indication for use for as needed orders, and prescriber's name. Prescribers should review all drug orders for accuracy and clarity immediately after they have prescribed them. These are found in our hospital medication order policy, policy in writing doctor's order, NCH-OM Med MPED -02. Care should be taken to ensure that the intent and indication of medication orders are clear. Prescribers should adhere to the following guidelines: type or write out instruction, and avoid using an approved abbreviation. Do not use vague or blanket instructions such as take as directed or resume pre-op meds. The computed dose shall be rounded off to the nearest whole number. In cases where there is a need to adjust the dose of the medications, abbreviation and symbols shall not be allowed. Rather, the entire word shall be indicated, such as increase, decrease, shift, discontinue, and hold. For the chronic patient, a review of medication shall be done every week. Prescribe a standard nomenclature using the drug's generic name. Always use a leading zero before a decimal expression of less than 1. Conversely, a trailing zero should never be used, since failure to see the decimal could result in a tenfold overdose. Use the metric system. Again, these are mentioned in the policy in writing doctor's order, NCH-OM Med MPED -02. If computerized prescriber order entry is unavailable, like in our setting, until improved systems are in place, physician can help prevent many of the most serious medication errors by observing some basic safety practices in drug prescribing. Written drug or prescription orders, including signatures, should be legible. Prescribers with poor handwriting should print or type medication or prescription orders. A handwritten order should be completely readable, not merely recognizable through familiarity. In the NCH, the outpatient department started to use the computerized prescription. All unclear orders should be regarded as potential errors, as staff should not have to interpret what the physician is ordering. The hospital's patient safety culture should require nursing and pharmacy staff to stop processing the order until clarification is provided by the prescriber. Verbal or telephonic medication orders should be reserved only for situations in which it is impossible or impractical for the prescriber to write the order or enter it into the computer. such as during an emergency situation if the prescriber is involved in a sterile procedure. The telephone orders can only be given by medical specialists or medical officers to the medical resident or fellow in training to be transcribed by the latter in the doctor's order sheet. Orders through SMS shall be allowed for medical specialists or medical officer only. Orders shall be transcribed by the medical residents or fellow in training in the doctor's order sheet when applicable. The use of hold orders should be avoided. Instructions with respect to hold orders for medications must be clear. Most often, a hold order is interpreted as an order to discontinue the medication. The hold order must include duration or clearly identified point in time for continuation. Example, hold until able to tolerate oral diet. Otherwise, the medication must be reordered or renewed. If automatic stop orders are used for therapy, discontinuation due to safety reason, active system or reminder should be established for the prescriber to be notified that therapy will discontinue with the opportunity to renew the order if appropriate. Approval for initial, empiric, and definitive therapy shall be for 3 days only, after which renewal for use shall be requested. The schedule for renewal shall be based on the duration of treatment as follows. This is found in the NCHRM AMS 2018. Automatic dosing protocols such as therapeutic class substitutions, interchange, IV to oral switch, renal dosing, dose rounding, and automatic stop orders should be clearly written or placed into the patient chart. This is outlined in the NCHRM AMS 2018 under the intravenous to oral antimicrobial therapy switch. All new prescribers must have sufficient training and mentoring on medication order entry. For reviewing, the senior residents and the ward MS are tasked to do the reviewing patient charts. Common order review errors include but are not limited to wrong drug, wrong dose, wrong patient, wrong route, wrong rate, wrong diluent, wrong dosage form, wrong time, and missed allergy. For the administration errors, the 5 rights of medication administration, such as the following, should be confirmed before the administration of drug. Practitioners at the bedside are able to prevent a significant number of medication errors from reaching the patient. When appropriate, independent double checks for high alert medications should be completed before administration. 2 patient identifiers should be verified. While nurses are most often the practitioners administering medication, other health professionals, including physicians and other staff, also administer medications in the scope of their practice, and the same safe practices apply. Practitioner education. All practitioners responsible for administering medication should be properly trained on administration procedures. This program must include proper patient identification, familiarization with the medication ordering, reviewing, preparing, dispensing, and monitoring system. Patient education. Patients and their direct caregivers have the right to know about all aspects of their care, including drug therapy. We encourage patients and caregivers to take an active role in their drug therapy by questioning and learning about their treatment regimens in order to act as their advocates and help prevent medication errors. Healthcare providers can instruct the patient or direct caregiver on the name and purpose of the prescribed medications, guidelines for safe administration, possible adverse effects, and actions to take if problem occur. Effective communication is imperative and helps ensure better adherence to treatment plans. Patients should be instructed to maintain a personal list of all medication therapy. Educating patients about the safe and effective use of medication promotes patient involvement in healthcare and can help prevent medication errors. It is very important to involve patients in the administration step as they may be helpful in catching errors as well. At present, we have an ongoing quality improvement study where we use the patient medication education checklist. This is the checklist that we use. Its effectiveness will be evaluated after the study. In monitoring, errors may be categorized as follows: failure to monitor medication effects, incorrect interpretation errors, incorrect transcription of laboratory test values, incorrect timing of monitoring. Failure to monitor medication therapy for efficacy and toxicity may result in treatment failure or unrecognized adverse drug reactions. Part of the competency of the medical residents is the proper assessment of patients, including the effect of their medications during treatment. We use the doctor's progress notes to document the monitoring of medication effects. Healthcare organizations should continuously evaluate their system and processes in order to prevent medication errors. There shall be an ongoing systemic program for quality assessment and improvement of services and the medication use system. Quality improvement activities should be routinely performed. This focuses on retrospective evaluation of safety processes, RCA, medication use evaluation, quality improvement, and event detection. Our institution has a system for reporting medication errors from event detection, doing the RCA evaluation, and recommending actions for quality improvement. Let's discuss this one by one. RCA, or root cause analysis, is a method used to identify system vulnerabilities after an event and to develop an action plan that will prevent the same event from occurring again, or at least minimize the possibility of reoccurrence. We conduct RCA for sentinel or other serious events. The RCA should be conducted and recommendations implemented in a timely manner. In NCH, we conduct RCA within 24 hours upon the receipt of an incident report. Here is the composition of the Patient Safety Committee, which conducts the root cause analysis whenever there is a report of an incident. In a medication education evaluation, the medication use evaluation is used to evaluate and audit a specific high alert medication, a frequently occurring event, or any other high alert or error-prone system or medication. Once data collection is completed, data can be evaluated and used to make process improvements, formulary guidelines or restrictions, or decision support rules to promote best practices. We have the Pharmacotherapeutic Committee and Antimicrobial Stewardship, which evaluates medication use, and we also have the NCH drug formulary. Next is the quality improvement. The Health Resources and Services Administration defines quality improvements as systemic and continuous actions that lead to measurable improvement in healthcare services and the health status of targeted patient groups. Our institution uses the PDCA method, or the Plan, Do, Check, and Act. At present, we have an ongoing quality improvement study about medication ordering and prescribing among physicians. This study aims to identify the causes of medication errors among physicians and to recommend action plans to eliminate medication errors. To reduce preventable medication errors, clinicians must understand what risks are already present in their institutions. Clinicians may learn of events and close calls from various methods, including voluntary reporting, direct observation method, chart review, and information technology. We use voluntary reporting via paper for event detection. We have the patient safety incident report form as a method to report all events that either reach the patient or near-miss events. We also have the feedback communicating intervention form to notify the individuals who reported the events, including the improvements that have occurred as a result. While medication errors cannot always be prevented, organizations can mitigate and reduce harm through robust system redesign, help employees make safe behavioral choices, and understand why people make the choices they make. If system faults and behavioral choices are understood, risk reduction strategies can be created. Medication errors can occur at any point in the medication use system. Health systems have the responsibility and expertise to lead and participate in multidisciplinary committees to examine and improve systems currently in place. These are my references. To end, I would like to share this quote: knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. Thank you.